Hello viewers, welcome to COM225 Web Technology. Today also I'm your anchorman, iorlahas Samuel, and I'll be taking you to our first lecture in COM225, which is Web Technology. In this first module, we will explore the World Wide Web, its origin, architecture, and the technologies that make it work. By the end of this lesson, you will understand how the web functions and how it forms the foundation for everything we build as web developers. So, the first thing we are going to start with is, what is the World Wide Web? Alright, the World Wide Web, which is simply known as the web, is a collection of information such as documents, images, videos, and more that are accessed over the internet. We can look at it as a collection of multimedia documents such as videos, images on the internet. It is not the internet itself, but rather a service that runs on top of the internet. We access the web using web browsers like Google Chrome or Firefox, and we navigate it through the hyperlinks and web addresses. We shall be looking at the details of all these terminologies we are mentioning here. Okay, we shall quickly look at the internet and the web. It's important to distinguish between the internet and the web because these two concepts are not the same. They are not the same, even though some use them to mean the same thing, but it's not the same. There are differences. So what is internet? Looking at this concept, the internet is just the physical network, or we can look at the internet as the infrastructure, which comprises of the cables, satellites, routers, and so on, that connects computers globally. So that is the internet. Why the web, or www, or what we call World Wide Web, on the other hand, is a software layer that provides us with services like the website, social media, or online shopping, and so on and so forth. Those things, those services that are rendered on the internet, they are what make up the web. Think of internet as a road, and then that of a web as the cars traveling on it. That's just the clear distinction between the web and the internet. Okay, a brief history of web. The web was invented in 1989 by Tim Berners-Lee while working at CERN. His idea was simply but revolutionary, that is, use of hypertext to connect documents across different computers. Then in 1990, the first web browser was World Wide Web, later known as Nexus. This was created in 1990. Then in 1991, we had what was the web. It was made publicly available. And in 1993, Mosaic browser was released. Then today, we have billions of websites existing, and the web support multimedia, dynamic applications, and real-time communication. That is what we have today. Web evolution. We often describe the web's growth in three stages, which are, we have Web 1.0, Web 2.0, and then Web 3.0. Now, the earliest of these is Web 1.0, which was made up of static HTML pages where there was no interaction. That is, it was a read-only content. Users will only read what is displayed on the browsers. They have no interaction with it whatsoever. And then Web 2.0 rather brought us blogs, social media, and user-generated content. That was what was witnessed with Web 2.0. Now we are using Web 3.0, where AI and decentralized apps are taking over the stage. Alright, now let's look at the web components of the web. To understand how the web works, let's look at two main components of the web, which are one, the server, the web server, and then the web browsers. What is the web server and what's its function? The web servers are powerful computers that store and deliver content. Now, if any website is developed, it can be hosted on a web server. A web server is seen as a dedicated computer that is made to handle or to hold all the web pages of a particular website, so that if users want to access the content of the website, they send requests and get response from the web server, and then they view the content of the web servers. So that is web server. And the web browser is an application we use to request and view the content of a web server or a website from the web server. Together, they allow us to experience the website. So that is the component, or these are the components of the web, and that is how they function. All right, now let's consider a client-server model. A client-server model. The client-server model is the architecture behind every web interaction. When you type a URL in your browser, you are the client. URL here means Uniform Resource Locator. That is the address of a particular website or a particular web page that users want to access. So the users that need access to websites, they are seen as clients. They are referred here to as clients. So the model depicts a picture that a client issues queries or sends requests to the server, and the response is being generated and sent back to users, which are known as the clients. Okay, the browser sends a request to a server, which processes it and sends back the response, usually an HTML page. Your browser then renders this page for you to view and interact with it. Okay, next is the URL and domain names. As mentioned before, URL is your uniform resource locator, which you use to access a particular page on the website or to access the website. Every resource on the web has a unique address called the URL. A typical URL looks like this. For example, we have https www.example.com/about.html. Let's look at that as our URL. Now, the DNS or domain name system translates human-friendly names like example.com into an IP address like 142.250.190.36, so that your computer can find the server. Okay, that is the address. That may be the address that the information you are looking for can be located from the server. So that is what the DNS does. The domain names system will now translate this into an IP address that can be forwarded or can be used to locate what is found on the server or what is saved on the server for you. Now, to understand better the component of the URL, we look at it this way. The HTTPS double slash. This part is known as the protocol, secured version of the HTTP. HTTP means hypertext transfer protocol. It's a kind of protocol that regulates the transfer of files from one computer to another on the internet, and that is the part of the URL for that is known as the protocol, and it's secured. It's a secured version of it. Then with the second part of the URL is what we look at here as the www.example.com. all right, this is known as the domain name. The domain name, that's the name you choose for your website. That is known as the domain name. While hosting the website, you are required to choose your domain name. That domain name can be any name that is suitable for your website. And then we have about.html. This is just a part to the resource. That's just an additional part to the resource, and this is attached to your domain name, and that locates the exact document that you are looking at it. Here is going to open the page known as about.html on the website. Okay, further explanation on HTTP and the HTTPS. The web runs on protocols, that is the rules for communication. Now, HTTP or hypertext transfer protocol defines how clients and servers talk. Yes, they define how the clients and the servers communicate. And then the HTTPS is the secured version which encrypts data for safety. It encrypts data for safety. That is the version of the HTTP. Now, websites that handle personal information like logins or credit cards should always have make use of the HTTPS, the secured version of the HTTP. Types of the web content. We have various types of web content. Let's understand that the web offers a variety of content types. For example, we have the static content. This is like the HTML page that doesn't change. It is static. It is read only. You understand? You can only read the content, and there is nothing you can change about it. You cannot. It's not dynamic. Then the next one is what we call the dynamic content. This one is generated by the scripts or applications. Scripts here means the script languages like JavaScript, PHP, and maybe the rest of them. Then we have the multimedia web content, such as videos and music, videos, audios, and even pictures. And then we have interactive content, a web content that is known as interactive content, like the quizzes, the forms, and live chats. This ones allows users to interact with the website or with the server directly by sending requests or sending data that can be sent into the database, can connect with the back end and store information there. All right, now let's recap. The World Wide Web is a system of interlinked content across over the internet using the browsers and the web servers. That is what we have pointed out. And then we also say that it works through the client-server model, where the client is the user that issues requests, and this request are sent to the server, and the server issues response back to it. This uses protocols like the HTTP and the HTTPS. That's a secured version of the HTTP. We also understand that these concepts are essential for any aspiring web developer. Alright, that is the end of module 1. In the next module, we will dive into HTML. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. I am iorlahas. Thank you.